Next up, store items, because do these store items in fact tell us what the new expansion is going to be? Is it going to be World of Warcraft, Elune and stuff, and the Moonwalker? Moonraker? World of Warcraft Moonraker. Let's go.
Yep. So I actually have one little thing to maybe preface this with, and I didn't even know I should bring it up because it's technically slightly unfair. But I think everyone in the guild found it funny, and a lot of people find it funny. So I'll go with it. So this was picked up during data mining, but there was a bug in the software that they were using to data mine, and initially that image of all the bundles was exported with an 180 hue shift.
So that's why they look like that.
So all of what the images first looked like was recolors. They had the orange sky, they had a kind of bluer tint to the grass. The ones at the bottom were very orange. Yeah. And everyone saw it and went, oh shit, are they really selling Stormad recolors? And people started like, well, this is completely insane. Why would they do this? And then someone on the WoW stream went, is that just hue shifted? Checked, and then they were like, oh yep, sorry everyone, that was a bug.
Oh,
and it was
no.
it was like I mean, I think they were worried when it first happened because they had already like put a post up, but I think a lot of people found it kind of lighthearted and sort of going, oh yeah, silly things happen. We all sort of got a lesson to not completely jump the gun. So that was certainly something.
It's interesting. They've got a 180 day. That's not what a 180 day game time logo, and that's a 6-month sub logo.
Yeah. Well,
that's interesting because a lot of people are frustrated that I believe if you buy like 6 WoW tokens and then redeem them for sub, you don't get the 6-month mount because the mount is really there to get people in a recurring bundle, right? So it's like, oh, whoops, I forgot about that subscription and I just bought 6 months non-refundable. Uh-oh. Whoops. Yeah.
No, I think the one thing is this is obviously, I think that they're actually referred to in the BLP names as Lunar New Year, because that's when we know it's timed. And if you don't just believe that, obviously moon relation, Lunar New Year. But also, I don't remember what the other ones look like, but you see the like red tone to the background. That is what essentially every Lunar New Year decoration I've seen is specifically that kind of color and shade of red. Because I know my housemate Diggy gets a lot of pockets that color full of money.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that. Then when we go here, so up here, this is just a mount bundle.
Yep.
Right. So a mount bundle. To the bottom right, of course, Sprite Darter, themed mount bundle. To the bottom left, well,
Celestial Steed.
Steed.
I can't remember.
Argy. And then a new transmog, right?
Yep.
Now, here's the thing. See this Fey Dragon, right? This Fey Dragon came out during Mists of Pandaria.
So it did.
And then we traveled to Draenor, and we found a place called the Dracorium, where these dragons are being, bred and trained and stuff. Bit scum. Actually, not just a bit scum. Extremely scum. Screw that. Ripping content out of your next expansion to sell it to us now. I mean, fuck that. But to continue the point, this is the Cloud Serpent rig.
So it is the hard.
Came out at the end of Cataclysm. Obviously did a little bit of a pre-tease of the Cloud Serpents in the following expansion, Mists of Pandaria. Now this, Silvarian Dreamer. When did it come out exactly? That was the end of BFA, right?
Yep, Silvarian Dreamer. Yep.
Was that the end? Well, it came out in BFA anyway.
Yes.
Does look a little bit Arden wieldy if you compare some of its stuff to it's also the Vulpine one, was it called?
I can't remember.
It's one of the more recent store mounts. But there's those ones that, do kind of fit a little bit of Arden wield. Sort of fit the Elune-ish aesthetic.
Even the idea of being, the Dreamer.
The Dreamer bit. Now, it just does make you think, this rip some ideas out of the future expansion, sell it to us now. A lot of people have been thinking about the most recent 6-month bundle mount. Not the new one, which is like the little mouse. It's not 6-month bundle, it's just a Hearthstone promo. What am I talking about? Sarge, yeah. No, a lot of people were looking at that and thinking, well, what expansion is this going to be? The cool Hawk mount, or whatever it is. It's really cool, in fairness to them. It's a really nice mount.
Oh, yeah, everyone's saying the Silvarian Dreamers are literally in Ardenweald. They're in Mist of Tyrannuside as well.
Yeah, right. So this was given to us in BFA and it was ripped from this expansion, because, you know, really you should be able to earn this thing in game. And it's whenever, you know, people talk about, oh, why do people have a problem with store mounts? It's when it obviously is just a mount from the next expansion, but not in that expansion, actually right now and on the store. And then when that expansion comes out, not obtainable. Now, if this is going to, if this pattern, which has pretty much happened for every expansion, is going to continue, right? If that's going to continue, then we have to think about this. The new birdish looking Articuno, basically the Articuno mount, that's the most recent store bundle. We then need to think about, you know, this new transmog piece that is all moon related. So is this a tie-in to the current story with Elune? Or, as some people speculate, is this, like with how they yank mounts from the future expansion, is this them yanking some gear they made, you know, maybe an NPC set or something from the next expansion, and putting it on the store now as a part of this bundle? In which case, between Articuno, or wherever it's called in-game, and this thing...
Sapphire Skyblazer?
Yes, between the Sapphire Skyblazer and this, like, do we have at least a bit of a hint that there's a Loonish business going on in the next expansion, maybe?
Almost certainly. I mean, the one thing is the Sapphire Skyblazer came out of nowhere, and there was the data mined, the opposite version, the orange version, that was not blue. It was, you know, obviously the orange, the blue and orange movie poster opposites, etc. But the thing that intrigues me about this specifically is that it's, you know, you say, is it a tie-in to the Elune storyline? Could conceivably be that, but in no way aesthetically is it, in terms of the details of the aesthetics. None of that looks Ardenwealdy in any sense.
True, yeah. It does look way more Night Elf High Priestess amped up.
Yeah.
More cosmic-y, amped up, sort of.
Yeah, so it looks like it's, like we've seen with the other ones, it is a full, not just theme, but also aesthetic that we're yet to encounter. So we'll see, you know, maybe some elf-like race that aren't our elves worship Elune in 10.0, and they'll be wearing stuff like that. I was going to say I wouldn't put it past them. I kind of mean that. Also, it wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
Yeah, I think fun, because a lot of Night Elf players do not trust them with any Night Elf lore anymore. Because they, you know, the lore team, they, in the same way that they burnt through the old gods and kind of ruined them with Nasoth, they risk burning through Elune and kind of ruining her. So watch out, guys.
Oh, could you imagine the sheer suffering? The sheer suffering if I think ended this expansion with Elune being sorted, like
in the way that people, because you remember the initial reaction to the Shadowlands cinematic had loads of dislikes.
Yeah,
like loads for an expansion reveal, other than of course Mop, because, you know, with Mop people are like, whoa, what? Kung Fu Pen? You know, the whole Bolvar being wrecked thing, like, I got a lot of people. You know, if they have, like, if they, you know, go and announce their new expansion at a BlizzCon, and it's all, you know, Elune stuff, but it feels like the new cosmic version of that, and it ends up, you know, not really honoring the history of Elune in the game world, like the history of, you know, like Musha and Anshe and all of that. Can you imagine?
I'd rather not, genuinely. I would rather not imagine it, because if I have to think about it in any capacity, I will lose my marbles. Personally, I've loved the Tauren stuff, the Night Elf stuff, since I first played a Tauren, and I know a lot of people do feel betrayed at storyline stuff. I feel like so far I've been relatively safe, but if they decide to, well, okay, I did feel it whenever Elune spoke through Tyrande, and didn't seem to make that much sense. But if they actually ruin it, I will join the legions of Night Elf players who are, you know, screaming for vengeance. I will join them in the realm of, I'm really dissatisfied with how you've done this story that I've loved for years. Like,
yeah, well, I wonder, you know, we're getting some of the feedback is sinking in game systems.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's going to be quite a bit harder to get feedback to sink in on lore. So that will be very, very interesting. I mean, especially given that the reception to the lore has, you know, it's only went downwards since, other than the Sarfang sort of little short film being nice. Other than that, the reception of the lore has kind of universally went downwards, I think. Other than having some nice parts. You know, it's the whole that they've struggled with. So, yeah, interesting. And I do wonder if this indicates an Elune-ish expansion. To be honest, if this is... Look, you see this, right? if this is in the context of, oh, we're going to the Lifelands, we're going to find out that Elune and Aenar are actually long lost cosmic lovers, and we're going to do some, crazy story that basically has nothing to do with what got any of us into Warcraft as an IP, then I'd be pretty disappointed. But if this was, some cool stuff going on in relation to a restoration of the Night Elf people, finding them a new home, content like that, that's very Azerothian content and very much, picking up the pieces and solving problems and, smaller, more human stories, then I'm pretty down with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because, that is what I want to see from a future Night Elf story. So I hope they deliver that. And I hope this is a part of something that overall is a good bit more grounded than the Shadowlands expansion was. And certainly if something like Shadowlands happens again, r/WoW is going to be even more sad. Because they're not the happiest bunch from what I can tell. So yeah, right. There we go. And as for the rest of it, I mean, yeah, this is Stormount stuff and transmogs in game and, that ship's long sailed.
Yeah.
Ship's long sailed.
Yeah. Fight battles you can conceivably win, not battles you've already lost many times over.
That may indeed be the thing.
As sad as that is to think about, it's sort of true at this point.